All right, so placing my hands on my heart, taking that breath of love and gratitude. So incredibly grateful and thankful for this time to come together to be the two or more gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful for our willingness to hold the high watch for each other, to know the truth of our being, which is divine, perfect, unconditional love and innocence and perfection. We're grateful for our willingness to come together and to um, learn to live the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And we're grateful for our willingness to allow our minds to be free of anything that we are using as a block to love. We are allowing it to fall away back into the nothingness from which it came, all the way back to the root cause. We are grateful to know that separation is not true and that we are all one. We're grateful for our earthly and heavenly helpers. We ask that they join us now, surrounding and supporting us, all those who are here, all who may listen later, blessing each one of us, blessing all those who may listen later, blessing this technology that we get to use to come together. And we are grateful to be open receivers, to receive the all good of God, the kingdom of heaven, and to share all that we receive and the blessings and unconditional love that we are with Mother Earth and all her beings, because we are one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. So I invite you to remain in this prayerful state with your eyes closed as we do our visioning for America. And so keep your eyes closed and just relax. We're focusing our collective energy out to around March of 2025, anywhere in the United States. Visualizing, feeling the fresh air, hearing the birds singing, seeing people smiling, knowing everything is perfect for the most beneficial outcome for the United States and the world regarding the US presidential election. We are not merely seeing the outcome, but we are feeling it. We're employing all of the senses as we can picture ourselves standing fully engaged in the precise situation that we wish to manifest. We're seeing it as a here and a now event, not a future event, knowing that it's real right now. We're grateful as we look around, sensing and feeling that everything is good. The pressure is off. There is no worry. There is no fear. We are centered and grounded in our power. We take a nice deep breath and we release this energy into the world to be absorbed and to expand. And we can open our eyes and come back into this now moment. All right, so we are in still chapter 2, right defense and release from fear, section 9, the correction of fear. And I am going to start us off on paragraph 10, and then a little bit of the following page as well. The lesson here is quite simple, but particularly apt to be overlooked. I will therefore repeat it, urging you to listen. Only your mind can produce fear. It does so whenever it is conflicted in what it wills. thus producing inevitable strain because willing and doing become discordant. And then in these notes underneath number 111, to understand how this conflict causes fear, you need to remember that the conflict is between what you want to do and what you think you should do. You can behave as you think you should without entirely being willing to do so. In other words, you are straining to do the right thing in the face of a hidden wish to do something else, a wish you are trying desperately to keep from being expressed. This suggests that you are afraid of the destructive potential of your hidden wish, that this is the source of fear that Jesus is referring to here is made explicit in the next section, where he speaks of people being afraid of their own death wishes and links that fear with the current section. And this is, to me, just reminded me of the 4 agreements, to be impeccable with your word. And I like to add to be impeccable with your thoughts, words, and deeds. And it's what Jennifer calls the heart-mind congruency, that she teaches in her classes. And then in paragraph 12, he gives us some specific instruction. Know first that this is fear. Number 2, fear arises from the lack of love. Number 3, the only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. And number 4, perfect love is the atonement. So just remembering those things anytime fear comes up, that it's a lack of love, and the only answer to that is more love, unconditionally more love. So yeah, I got lots more in here, but that's where I'm going to start us off, and then let anybody else share what they got from our reading today as well, or from something that happened over the last week. Penelope.
I'm not sure what I'm going to actually say, what's going to come out of my mouth right now. Can I just rewind to last week, first of all? I've been listening in the last couple of weeks, and I just wanted to say to Mary Lee how helpful that conversation was last week, because you were making reference to your recent dental treatment. And as you were speaking, it was so interesting for me because, I mean, have had for a very, very long time, and it's somewhat easier since my time in Masterful Living, a fear of anything to do with doctors, dentists, you name it, and it terrifies me. So that fear has got somewhat easier, but it's still something that I'm working with. And it was so helpful because your example you were giving last week, Mary Lee, the very next day I was due to have root canal treatment. So I've been joining the prayer groups, etc., to deal with the fear that was coming up quite often, and obviously calling for the highest and best. And in that time when you were speaking, Mary Lee, one of the things that I realized that the judgment that was going on for me last week in the run-up to it was that I was so afraid something bad was going to happen. And so in those moments when I recognized the judgment, that fear dissipated for me ahead of that treatment the next day. So I was much calmer about it, heading towards it. Totally a different story, which I'm not going to get into, but that actual treatment got cancelled last week and had to be rescheduled, which is interesting. It was also interesting for me to be in that situation of immediately in the dental practice going to, this is for the highest and best. this is happening for a reason. This is the highest and best. So just to say thank you, Melanie, for the conversation last week and everyone else. So then just based on what Linda was just reading and how Linda's just said that we can use what she's just read out for any situation. So having read this just briefly before the call began, and so I'm going to, this is paragraph 11, and this is the second, no, the third, oh yeah, it's partway through the second sentence, and it says, try saying to yourself that you must have willed not to love somehow or somewhere, or the fear which arises from behavior, will, conflict could not have happened. And I guess for me, that in that example I was just giving last week was that the conflict for me was, and I might need some help with this, but I'm trying to understand this because I'm trying to work through this so that it's helpful for me going forward with fear, is that the conflict in that situation was, there was a part of me that wanted to go into that situation completely calm. But as a result of the judgment, then I was like, that was my will, but the will that I kind of felt that I wanted to go towards was the will of being calm, peaceful, etc., etc. And I'm going to stop that. I'm not really quite sure what I'm trying to say. I don't know if anybody else can help me out here. And also just to say, in paragraph 14, that is just so helpful. Absolutely so helpful, that bit. So I don't know if anyone can just add anything just to assist me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Penelope. Yeah, I copied that prayer in 14 too, so I can read it before I go to bed each night. The only place that I can think of to say where there was conflict was in the knowing that you want to have the peace of God at all times, but not trusting that you could have it no matter what happened at the dental appointment. And so you must have got to a point of willingness in order for you to be at the place that you were once you got there. So that's the only conflict I can see, is that you knew that you wanted the peace of God, but you weren't trusting that you were going to receive it, and that the highest and best was going to unfold while you were there.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Because I mean, when I first did Master for Living, I think I'm going back 2018, I can't remember what year, there was always a lot of shame for me around fear. And that's the one thing that's actually a lot easier now, that I wouldn't even talk about the fact I felt fearful about something because there was so much shame around it. So that has, that's so much of that has gone now. And yeah, that makes sense, Linda, what you've just said, because, and I'm not saying that this is the only reason, because it could well be that I came in with this fear. So I'm not necessarily saying that this is totally related to this lifetime. But I mean, I remember as I was kind of like probably about 9 years of age, and my sister would be about 10 years of age, possibly, I think, around this time. And my father was in the hospital. So because my mother had no one that she could leave us kids with, she had to take us to the hospital to visit my father. And every time my father was in hospital, something would go wrong. All kinds of things, like he would be told that, there was no problem with anesthetic, and he was actually allergic to anesthetic. So all kinds of things would happen. He actually would go into anaphylactic shock. And they were quite dismissive with him with that. And so there's a whole heap of stuff around that for me, given that many of the things that he reacted to, I can react to. And so I remember even as a 9-year-old being in the hospital, and been afraid every time we went there, because there was one guy in the bed in the say, I think there was 4 of them in one room or something, and this guy was really sick, and I think eventually we went on one visit and this guy had died, and it was just this constant fear for me every time we went to visit, and I guess, yeah, that's probably is the case, is I just don't trust that it's possible to have that total peace. But of course, partly I'm not trusting because I am relying on my own strength, my own will. So yeah, really helpful. Thank you for listening. And thank you for the input.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else have anything that they would like to share or comment on what Penelope shared? Go ahead, Carla.
I don't know, it's a lot, but one thing that comes from when shared is it was shown to me, and when I was in the VA home, that the last person or one person, I don't know when it happened, that was in the bed that I was in had died. And it was very challenging to be around the energy. Is really feels, because everybody is, we're all scared, you know, and their fear, because we're all part of one mind, then we feel it. So it's not always our fear, that it's there, out there. So this section is one of my, I mean, I could probably read that every paragraph. It's like lesson 135. I have something in almost every paragraph underlined, but I'll try to keep it big. So in the beginning, the fraction of fear, you believe, paragraph 1, you believe that being afraid is involuntary. And that's the truth. We feel, because we feel it, right? And because we're all part of one mind, we believe it's us, and we decide, we judge, whatever. But it's okay, because I'm willing to be part of the healing. The healing is the one mind, and we're just part of the one mind. We're like all cells in the body of God. Cells in our body do different things. The skin cell does one thing, the blood cell is that, the eye cell does something else. And so we're all here to do what, and sometimes we don't, sometimes the cells in our body don't perform their designed function. And that's all of us too. And it says in paragraph 5, I'll just read parts. The correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you're implying that it isn't, and I really had a hard time with that for a long time. And I realized it is, that it's not my responsibility. And that's what I realized. I thought it was talking about fear isn't, but it's taking responsibility. And I'm not really disagreeing with this, but what came to me is that thoughts come and thoughts go. It's our belief in the thought that creates fear or doubt or love, whatever. It's our belief. And so I'm feeling that thoughts come and thoughts go, but it's our belief that actually creates. In section, paragraph 3, line, I think 2, you believe you're responsible for what you think, but it's really what we believe. Because thoughts come, we can't control the thoughts that come. It's our belief in that thoughts. And so I've been sharing poems. I don't know if I can get it. But I have just a writing I was gonna read. Okay. I don't know if it stands out for you, but it's really, it feels important for me. See the fear, even feel the sensation, the fear, whatever it is. By feeling it, you bring it to the light. And this is a challenging part. Don't believe it, because only love is real. It's very challenging because we both create it and we feel it. We believe what we feel, right? We believe it is us. It is not us. Because we are one with everyone. And many feel and believe it is them. Give it to God. Love, truth, whatever resonates with you. Give it to the neighbor. Okay, doesn't matter, because we're all part of the one mind anyhow. It really doesn't matter. That's not the right words, but give it to God as soon as you remember. Do not judge how soon you remember, or if you do. I used to judge myself when I did not pray before I ate, but I blessed the food whenever I remembered. Remember this, what you practice, you improve. Just notice. Don't judge what you're practicing. Bring it to the light and let it be healed. Because love is the healer. You never know what's going to come out.
Thank you, Carla. Anybody else like to share? Questions, comments? Go ahead, Mary Lee. You're muted, just so you know. There you are.
I appreciated listening to Penelope. In the 9th paragraph, I feel like I was helped by that paragraph. Although people say that God will never ask you to do more than you can, they do not understand it themselves. God cannot ask more than you will. The strength to do comes from your own undivided will to do. And then I particularly like this next sentence. There is no strain in doing God's will as soon as it is also your own. And I've been going through photo albums, walking down memory lane before, while I can walk down memory lane. So I'm going through photo albums, and the last 2-3 nights I've been doing it in the evening, and a particularly huge amount of photos got taken during this confusing time of strain in my life that occurred 20 years ago right now, 2004. And lots of recording of the events were happening. It sort of involved all being sort of in love with the wrong person. Talk about a strain. And there was a lot of gaiety and laughter, and all the pictures just show a very turbulent, yet kind of what one might say wild time. I remember the period of time very, very clearly, even without the photos. But the photos are real helpful because they show, to me, I guess what you'd say is a strain behind the laughter, behind the big smiles and the posing for all the pictures after pictures, is this sense that erratic behavior, not clear, not clear decisions, not clear manifestation. And I just appreciate that word strain in paragraph 9. But there is no strain in doing God's will as soon as it is also your own. And I don't know that I can share all the wisdom behind that thought right now. But I do believe it was an important time of my life. And that looking back on it now is a heck of a lot better than going through it. Because, you know, I guess if one doesn't feel peaceful, there's a clue. And if what one is going through doesn't feel like well, if it feels strained, there's another clue. So I zeroed in on that word while I was doing the reading this time. And yes, the dental work that I went through and have been freaking out about a little bit. It's like I'm letting there be a strain where perhaps I could come into this a little more peacefully. There's lots of things in life you have to do that don't feel peaceful, don't feel like, why am I? And part of it is this fear, like, oh, this is too much. This is too much. And I don't mean to be vague. I'm having to wear a device that you can't eat with. And I have different, you know, it's summer in Alaska. There's lots of visitors. There's lots of, now we're going to do this. Now we're going to have a picnic and do that. And now we're going to socialize here. And then, of course, what food are we going to bring? And I'm just sort of like, gee, I need to calm down inside myself, as if this was the very worst thing in the whole wide world. What if I didn't have food? There's some people on the globe right now that give anything to have that problem. So I guess there's always lessons we're learning, and I appreciate this group and our sharing so that we can come to the bottom of some of those things that strain us.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Yeah, I'm so grateful for your shares and your willingness to be honest with not wanting people to know that you have this going on. And I mean, can so relate. And I can relate to the other situation as well, knowing that there were times in my life where I was what I would consider a wild child. And, you know, you would not have been able to tell me at the time that, what I was doing was probably not a good thing to do, or who I was hanging out with was probably not a good bunch of people to hang out with. And I know that I've learned from all of it, as I know you have too, from what you were sharing. And I'm also grateful for you to see that, you're what I call my inner drama queen, is wanting to make a big deal out of the fact that, summertime is coming and you're going to all these things and it's all surrounding food, and you can't eat solid food at the moment. And it's making a big deal of it. And oh my Lord, my drama queen would be flipping out. So I can totally understand, because when you're having stuff done that you're not super comfortable with to begin with, you don't want to be repeating it over and over and over again to people. And I feel like it's a lot like, well, it's a little similar to, I can't say a lot, like it's a little similar to when I stopped drinking alcohol. Like everybody had a question, like, why aren't you, why don't you just have a glass of wine, or just, I'm like, it doesn't, I don't like what it does to my body and my mind. So I just stopped drinking, but eventually people stopped asking. But, I was at a point where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to order a drink. But I would walk up to the bar and I would say, can you give me a seltzer water with a splash of cranberry juice in it, and put a swizzle stick so it looks like it's an alcoholic drink, so people will just shut the hell up about the fact that I'm not drinking alcohol anymore and I don't have to talk about it. So I can so relate to that. So kudos for you for, seeing that, like, what I call my drama queen, and looking at it and going, honey, this is a first world problem. So, be grateful that this is your problem and not something way more drastic. So, and I'm holding you in my thoughts and prayers with all that you're going through the memories of pictures. I did that a couple of years ago, and that can be a challenge, and because it can bring up painful memories as well as the good ones. And dentist stuff, I go every 6 months and I still white knuckle it on on the chair while they're scraping my teeth. It's like, dear Lord, I brush, I floss. What more can I do so that they don't have to scrape that damn metal thing off my teeth anymore? But oh, yeah. And that, again, that's my drama queen. So yeah, thanks for all that you shared, Carla. Still muted.
I want to add to something that Mary Lee, that sentence, that paragraph was very powerful, very powerful. But I went in it, it says 110. So I went down and read the lower 110. I'll read it again. In other words, God does not ask more than you will, because unless the will to do something is present, we literally do not have the strength to do it. The larger idea here seems to be that, as the next sentence says, your will and God's are one. this has two implications. One, that he cannot, this is really important, that he cannot go against your will. That is love. That is love. By asking you to do things beyond your will strength. And two, that you can effectively do his will when you realize it is also your will. It's always been there. Allow it to come to the surface. And that's where, I think that's when the unwillingness is just allow it to come up and don't judge it. Just love it. Because love is the healer. That's it. For sure.
Thanks, Carla. Yep, let's align with the divine. That's what I wrote after I read paragraphs 5 and 6. Align with the divine. My will is the will of God. Go ahead, Penelope.
Just to add something else there. One of the things that was always so helpful for me when with Jennifer was when she used to talk about this quite a bit, that fear is a result of judgment. And it's like in my mind, I almost can see it like it's almost like it can become, and I'm saying it can become, it doesn't have to be, it can become like a vicious cycle, because when I'm in fear, because obviously when we're in fear, we block the truth from ourselves. It's what, you know, then I'm not actually able to see what that judgment is. And as was very clear last week to me, once I was able to recognize what the judgment was, then I can still feel it now, how I was able to move into that place free of any strain. But I guess I'm saying this because I just wanted to emphasize that piece, that it really is, it's the judgments that keep the fear in place, whether it be the judgments of, you know, oh, I won't be able to handle this, or I haven't got what it takes, or this is too much for me, or whatever it might be, that creates that perpetuating cycle. And it feels really important to me to be able to recognize this, because it just does feel so much easier, and the sense of peace when I can go into a situation like that and just be closer to that place of being in perfect peace. It just, the whole thing just was so different last week for me. And like I say, then it gave me that ability to then just be in that place of recognizing, you know, when the appointment was cancelled, oh, this is for the highest and best. And one of the things I'm wanting to be able to do is to be able to hang on to that feeling, not in a hanging on in an attachment way, but to be able to hold that sense of what it feels like when I am moving through something without the strain. So thank you.
Thank you, Penelope. Yeah, resisting what is what came to my mind. Kathleen.
Oh, well, I finished reading chapter 2, and just the very end of, I know I'm going way ahead, but the very last paragraph in the whole chapter is about memories and the memories that we want to hold on to. And says your own final judgment cannot be directed toward yourself because you're not your own creation. You can apply it meaningfully and at any time, however, to everything you've ever made, and retain in your real memory only what is good. This is what your own right-mindedness cannot but dictate. The purpose of time is solely to give you time to achieve this judgment. It's your own perfect judgment of what you have made. When everything that you retain is lovable, there's no reason for any fear to remain in you. This is your part in the atonement. So I just want to read that, like right before. I've been looking at old videos of Ram and I, my husband, who died 4 years ago this month, and then Paul and I, who left 4 years ago. And it's like, I don't want to have a bunch of huge feelings. I just want to say, wow, that was fun and that was good. And look what I learned. I want to only remember the good. Otherwise, I can't watch them. And it's like reading my old journals. If I start diving into judgment, so this just gives me a good way to think that it's a good thing to look at things from the past, because then I can look at them from where I am now and say thank you to my past self and thanks for getting me here, and boy, we were doing the best we could, and all the way along I knew that God was with me and on my side. Yeah. So yeah, these chapters are they're so complex in terms of looking at, you know, the different parts of the psyche and stuff. But I do just want to make my will and God's will the same. And and yeah, like Carla's saying, don't judge all the stuff that comes up, and Penelope too, don't judge the fears. If I have fear right now, it's just, I don't know what, baseless. I mean, my life is fine, and was working a lot on my body because my small intestine started acting up again, that was damaged during radiation when I had cancer. And thinking, really? My body exists in my mind. Pain is an incorrect perception. I don't want to think about my body a whole lot. Because that course says, you spend way too much time thinking about your body. Ask my mind to be healed. Keep asking my mind to be healed. Hopefully my body will, go along with the plan and not feel pain and all that. Just working on this course stuff, and then reading The Way of Mastery and doing that little exercise every day where just for 5 minutes you sit and say, I am Christ. I am Christ. I have created everything here. I have the ability to move mountains. Really let yourself believe that you are Christ, and that your mind is incredibly powerful. And then I do think I need to watch my thoughts. I know they're coming in from everybody else's thoughts, so I do need to watch them. And I don't want to pay any attention to a lot of them. Ask the Holy Spirit for help looking at my life, because it seems like it's difficult just to play and have fun sometimes, just like to goof around and not take everything so seriously. And I'm doing it, dancing and going to drum circles and stuff. But there's a lot of time during the day when I'm pondering, like, what the fuck am I doing here? Oh yeah, I'm only here to be truly helpful. So I was riding my bike this morning, and at the stoplight, instead of just standing there, I was like smiling at the people going by. And this truck with guys in it, they looked at me. So, it's just like, I'm like, oh yeah, just little things, little acts of love. Oh yeah, acts of love shorten time for everybody. Acts of love are the miracle. And miracle consciousness, as it says in the next, I don't know, part of this chapter, the miracle consciousness is underneath our unconscious. Like, it's so, I don't even know if I need to get all that, but there's miracle consciousness, then there's our unconscious, then there's a subconscious, and then there's conscious, and there's a super conscious. Oh, good grief. But miracle consciousness like bubbles up, I guess, all the time. Hello, be loving. Hello, be loving. Love's the only thing that matters. And I just listened to Robert Perry do this great meditation where we're walking along a path and we find this rock that's the ego, and that we created, and we open it up and there's a piece of paper in there that says, I am your father. And it was written by God. I am your father. I am your father, not the ego. God, there is no ego. It's really powerful that we really don't want to believe that God is our father, but then we want to believe it so bad. So anyway, blah, 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 my offering.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you for always reminding us to be playful. It's so important. Go ahead, Penelope.
Can Kathy just say again what section that was?
It's the very last paragraph in the whole chapter. It's about the last judgment.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
Sure.
Yeah, it's paragraph 8. I'm back here. In section 13, the real meaning of the last judgment.
Or get there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a deep chapter.
It is.
Much underlined. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines at the end of this section that we were reading is the second sentence in paragraph 15, where he says, to the extent that you hold on to this split mind, where we think we're here and separated from God, it will take longer to get through and will markedly interfere with your own integration efforts. Every time we forget that we are not separate from each other and that we are not separate from God, that we could not ever be separate, it just makes it feel like we're walking through, I don't know, really thick mud. You know, the air on earth is dense enough. We don't need to be making ourselves walk through mud.
Yeah, and if you keep reading that, reliance has to be placed on me. And then that very last sentence. And this way you will perceive and know your true worth. So it's only by totally relying on God and not wanting to have our own separate little ego self making decisions that we can actually be happy.
Yeah, this is really helping me to understand like the idea of free will and how, you know, people are always saying, but we have free will. Well, we do have free will, but why would we want it?
Right? Gets in the way.
I want my mind to align with the divine, because that's where things just start to flow. There is no conflict. There is no strain, as Mary Lee was talking about it from paragraph 10. There's no strain when we align with the divine.
It seems like there in 12, where it says the very last, or the second to the last sentence, we've emphasized that the miracle expression of atonement is always a sign of real respect from the worthy to the worthy. This worth is reestablished by the atonement. It's obvious then that when you're afraid, you've placed yourself in a position where you need atonement because you've done something loveless. So it just is like how we interact with people that we know, that in our families or in the drum circle, and this lady I don't want to talk to, and then I'll get like, put your head back and look at her. You know, I get these directions from God. She is your equal. So I think, you know, it's just, that's all we can do with these separate bodies is reach out and say, oops, I almost didn't love you there for a minute and I was judging you and sorry, you know, and then just like love that person no matter how difficult it is. Oof.
Yeah, it will obliterate any sense of unworthiness that we harbor, any sense of guilt that we hang on to.
True healing.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Oh.
that's true healing.
Yeah, this is how true healing occurs, using the remedy. Fear, 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 fear.
Yeah. So coming at fear without judgment of being fearful, but knowing that there's no need for us to be fearful, that it's just like a tap on the shoulder going, you forgot you're not separate from God. you forgot that you were completely innocent, pure love. That's all it is.
Trust God.
Beautiful. Anybody else like to share anything before we head out? As we come to the last 7 minutes. Go ahead, Nancy Gail.
Sorry, I joined late, so I don't know what your first, what.
No, don't worry about joining late. You're here now.
Oh. So I don't know, like when you read something and then you ask a question or so, what the topic. But all I just want to say is I read the what do you call it? Your comment in the about lesson 141, and I had yesterday. It was like the most ridiculous, idiotic regression. Total lost it. Completely lost it. Went and started my story, and it's like, what? And it's like, and it was like, somebody please stop me. And it was like, and it's like, and then it's like, and it was just like a total up to like, so, and I was okay. Say, I'm doing it again. For some reason I picked up my 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 what do you call it? My notebook from the past year or something, and I'm reading through. It's like, and I'm reading through this, and I said, "Oh, well, I saw that then, and that, and that, and that, and that. Why am I here? Look at it's like," and I'm looking back, and I said, "Oh my gosh, really? Insights, realization, something." Well, anyways, that was today's Tuesday, so that was Sunday night. Yesterday, I woke up. And oh, we had an invitation. They're having the family thing, at the major holidays. My sister-in-law is doing it at her house, but she's doing it on Saturday. Never, ever. They're always on Sunday. So Amy and I were all planning, so we're going to go, what are we going to take, and blah, blah, blah. Well, this thing comes to Saturday. Well, her and her husband have the ministry, and then his have the band and all the things, and they're busy all day. It's like, and I can't go if they don't drive me. And it's like, finally, I started this thing with healing my family relationship with my brother and everything, back, and it's like, oh no, it's like I feel already set myself. It's like, oh, this is good, we can continue, and that's what's the next step, and blah, blah. So I just lost it. And it's like, I felt like, so it's my prayer partner this night. I just sent her, we did a text because we couldn't talk yesterday. And it was like, I said, I feel like, I don't know if I read it to you. I'm having all these things shot at me. Bing, 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 bing. They're all coming. In fact, 5 million of them all coming in all different directions. All this stuff. And it's like, I've all totally lost it. and it's like I was at the mountaintop, where I've been. And all of a sudden I went into a whole deeper, like to the center of the earth, right? It's like, oh my God. And so last night, and it's like after all that, and Amy comes over. She was coming over. And I was like this, and then she says, "Okay, Mom, I want you to be in a good mood. Oh, or better, I want you to be in a positive attitude." I said, "Okay, Amy, I'm fine." And then it's like because I had been, when she walked in the door, I was listening to that lesson 141 when she walks in the door, right? And I'm thinking, and I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, do I want her to hear us? Like, well, yes. So I just like, she comes in, and I said, and by the time, so she said, "I want you to be calm, Mom." She said, I'm calm, because I had that is the most beautiful. And so I listened to it again last night when I was 3 times. I listened to it. And in there, it's like, and the last few days, it's the lessons have been, this is the whole point of the course. This is the whole message of the course. And it's really, and I said, love is really simple. healing is really simple. It's just all simple. And it says the forgiveness is the healing, because it's you're releasing all the garbage, and once it's gone, it's gone. You're healed. That's the healing. That's the miracle. And it's like, oh, it's so simple. So, anyways, but then when I go to bed and I think I was remember back through the day, I'm thinking I was feeling so guilty. I was feeling so for oh, look what I did. How could I do that again? It's like total like after I spent a whole year last year, that was my goal, right? And it was like, and I made it, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. All right, so it's like, how do I show my face here? It's like I'm so guilty first. I'm feeling so ashamed. But
Yeah.
then,
We all do it.
okay, so that's why I thought, oh, but anyway, the thing is, reading this whole year since January, remember Jennifer said all this stuff is bang. It's like the healing happens, it's happening, and then in between these new realizations. And it's last night, it was like, or the Sunday night or whatever, it's in there. I was remembering something. I said, oh my gosh, when I was, so we're living in the city. So 9 or 10, I don't know. When we moved to the country, whatever. And now it's out in the country, there's nobody around. It's like, I was this one, the cowgirl with the whole outfit. And then, except for the cap, they were cap guns. You wear the whole set. There were cap guns. I saved my allowance, my money. My father took me to this because I had gone, and then they told me the price. So I spent the time and I saved my money. He took me back to the store, and I laid it all out on the store. And the guy says, you forgot to tax." I said, "What's tax?" That wasn't in the price. And it was like, all I can remember is 8 cents or something like that. And I said, "I don't have that." And I'm looking at the guy, and I'm looking at my father. I can't have this. I spent all this time. And it's like, I can't have it because you forgot to tell me. There's that other, just realized that other thing. My husband did the same thing. That one piece. I did all of that to get it, but you forgot that one piece. You didn't tell me that. I can't remember. I think the guy was lacking just a few pennies, and I said between my dad and the guy, I got it. Ended up getting it, but I remember my husband used to do the same thing. We had something to do with the church, or we're going to do this. So I get it all set and do everything, and I'll stop in a minute. And there was one piece, and then like, we're going to go. So there was one piece. He was always one piece of information that changed that it failed. I never knew why. I never knew, but he did that all the time. And I just connected that just now. But anyway, things come up like that. It's just memories, these little pieces of things are coming up that I had forgotten. And I got a long life of stuff. It's like, but anyway, so that's what happened yesterday. And I said,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So
We just,
anyway,
we just get to
I'm
look
so,
at it and be loving with ourselves.
yes, I'm looking at it from a different perspective now.
Exactly.
So I don't have what do you call it? The
The guilt.
energy, or, huh?
So you don't have the guilt.
No, the power isn't there. Or
Yeah.
the
You're not attached to it.
right. I can look at it with the Holy Spirit, and it's interesting that I called him Papa,
Yeah.
because it's like my father was. I loved my father so much, but he
Yeah.
always, whenever there was something, he always took my mother's side. He always let her. What do you call it? kowtowed. They used to use that word
Yes.
to her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you.
Yeah. So next week, where are we? Next week, section 10, the real power of the mind. Looking forward to that. So I'm going to read today's insights from the lesson, which is a review from Pathways of Light, lesson 142. My mind holds only what I think with God. May it stick with me forever. And I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Let me remember I am one with God. Gratitude and appreciation go hand in hand with acceptance. If someone offers me something I don't appreciate, I won't accept it. I might put on a show of acceptance so as not to hurt the giver's feelings, but if there's no appreciation, the gift goes on the back shelf or in the closet where it's forgotten about. This world is the effect of not appreciating God's gifts to me. He gave me myself, pure love. But by not appreciating the gift, I have forgotten myself. Instead, this world was made in an attempt to find something I would like better, something more special. Because I have not appreciated God's gifts to me, I do not know myself, nor do I value myself. It is no wonder the world is filled with people who feel unworthy. This is why it is so important for me to thank my Father for his gifts to me. God doesn't need my thanks, but I need gratitude for his gifts in order to know myself. That is how I will know my worth. That is how I will find full appreciation for myself and all my brothers. Help me, Holy Spirit, to recognize the value of God's gifts and the valuelessness of the ego's offerings. For I would know myself. This is my true desire. Love is my source. From love came all that is real. I cannot leave my source and become something different. I cannot change myself. I remain as love as I was created. Love holds only love. Love extends only love. I am one with love as I was created. If I try to deny my identity as love, I will try to think I have changed myself into something else separate from love. I will try to make up a world that is different from the oneness of love. I will try to make individuality and differences real in my mind. I will try to think I am separate and alone. I will try to think I am independent of my source. I am learning now that this is the unhappy dream. In this unhappy dream, I have denied my identity as part of God and have not appreciated God's gifts to me. I have denied that my mind holds only what I think with God. It is now time to lay down this denial. I want to return to happiness. I want to return to God's peace and joy and love. I want to return to my oneness with my source. I want to remember that I am still one in the mind of God. I want to accept myself as I was created. I want to let go of all the false ideas about individuality and being separate from my source. Now is the time of return. Now is the time for me to remember that my mind holds only what I think with God in truth. All the other thoughts I have added are nothing and nowhere. They are meaningless ideas were never true, and that I am still changeless love as I was created. I return to God's gifts as I open up to them, accept them, and appreciate them. My gratitude for the truth of my identity as one with God opens my mind so that I can see that I never left. In truth, my mind has held only what I think with God. I have always remained one with God, and so has everyone. A false word of separation was never real. Only in dreams could I have imagined this. Today, I practice opening to the truth by being willing to lay this false dream down. I practice opening to the truth that my mind holds only what I think with God. So grateful for that lesson. And I feel like one of the ways that we can appreciate the gifts that we've received from God is by being playful, just like Kathleen does. So let's play more and worry less. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
Boy, she's a good writer. Love
Oh,
you.
right?
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you,
For
bye.
now. Thank you.